welcome to the channel. It's Becky here, gracing your online screen with another interesting video. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. As you can already tell from the title, this video is going to be my delivery story slash delivery vlog. It's more like a delivery vlog because I have some clips to share with you guys, and I take you through my experience when I had my second child. So just in case you do not know, I have two girls, two beautiful daughters that God has blessed me with. And yeah, for the delivery story of my first child, I have it in my first channel. I'll leave the link in the description box. So this is going to be the delivery story of my second child, and I'm going to take you guys through the journey and just let you guys have an insight of what it means to have a cesarean section. I feel like videos like this are really helpful and useful because I remember when I wanted to have my first child, I was so clueless on what to expect, and I was really watching a lot of delivery stories, delivery vlogs and all of that, just to have an understanding of what it feels like, of what the experience feels like. And those videos are really helpful to me, so that's why I feel like it's a good thing for me to also share my story, and it might help somebody out there might be going through the same experience. So this video is going to be me talking about my experience and what to expect when having a cesarean section. Please, it is important for me to clarify at this point that this video is not a medical advice in any way. I am not a medical doctor. I am just a woman who went through this experience, and I'm sharing it with you guys. So please, if you have any medical concerns, speak to your doctor. Always speak to your doctor when you have medical concerns. Do not take this video as a medical advice. This video is just to give you an insight of what to expect when you are going through a cesarean section. So having said that, let us get right into the video. If you're watching this video, please go ahead and click on the like button. It is really important to the channel that you click on the like button. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel as well. Share the video, drop a comment, and yeah, let's get right into the topic. So for my second child, I had an elective CS. Just in case you don't know, there are two types of CS. One is emergency CS and another one is elective CS. So emergency CS is when the woman actually goes to the hospital with the expectation to have the vaginal delivery. She actually wanted to, go through labor and, give birth to a baby through vaginal delivery. But somehow, some way, something happens and they have to do a CS. So that is called an emergency CS. But for an elective CS is when the woman opts for CS, like she tells her doctor that she wants to have a CS, so she doesn't have to wait for labor. She's given a date to come to the hospital and have her baby. So for my second child, I went through elective CS, which means that I just told my doctor that I wanted to go through a cesarean section, and my reason was because I already had my first child through CS, and I just felt like, look, let's not even beat around the bush, let's just go straight to the point. Okay, they gave me a date. My doctor gave me a date to come to the hospital. I'm supposed to check into the hospital a day before the surgery. So if the surgery is on the 14th of February, which is the day I had my surgery actually. So if the surgery is on the 14th of February, I was supposed to check in on the 13th of February. So I checked into the hospital on the 13th of February, and I was admitted into the hospital and given a room, given a bed to stay. And for CS, you're supposed to take your last meal 8 hours before surgery. So since my surgery was going to be the next day, I was asked to eat my last meal before 10 p.m. That's, on the 13th. So I was asked to eat my last meal. And I remember I got food and I ate. Look, I wasn't even so hungry because at this point, all you're just feeling is, you want to have a baby. That's everything on my head. So I thought I was even going to eat so much food, since I know I'm not going to be eating for, a couple of days. But I really couldn't eat much. I ate something and then I relaxed. At this point, I was just trying to, put my mind at rest because there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it, especially with having cesarean section for the second time. Since I've gone through the experience before, so I kind of like memories were just popping up in my head. I was just thinking of how the first experience went and everything, and I was really anxious. But at this point, I was just trying as much as possible to put my mind at rest. So I was singing songs, I was watching movies, I was just doing stuff stuffs just to, take fear out of me. I was praying and all of that, doing anything that I could do to take that fear out of my mind and just to put my mind at rest. So I stayed and, took care of myself till the next morning, which is actually the surgery day. So one important thing that you would also be asked to do first before the surgery is to sign the consent form. So most hospitals, or every hospital, before they take a pregnant woman to have a CS, they would always sign a consent form. The doctors will sign, the husband will sign, or the husband or anybody that comes with the woman will sign and all of that. So you have to sign that. Then the nurses, started coming. Like, as of that morning, I already started seeing, it was getting so real to me that yes, you want to have a baby. So you see the nurses coming and doing stuffs. A nurse came in to shave me. I actually tried to shave before going to the hospital, but I guess I didn't do it neatly. My tummy was so big, so there was no way I could actually, get there and, do a proper shaving. So the nurse took her time. There was this blade that, like, is different from the regular blade that you buy in the market. I think it was something that was meant for shaving, but it wasn't the regular shaving stick. So she used that to shave me. Like, she took her time and shaved me properly. Then after that, they came and they fixed line in my hand. There's this thing called line, so they fixed that, and I think that thing is really important because that's where they're going to be giving you injections from. Like, after the surgery, you're going to be taking a lot of injections. Like, they were giving me injections like maybe 4 or 5 times a day. So I can really tell that thing is really important, because if they were to be chucking all those injections into my vein every time, I wonder what I would have thought to before I left that hospital. So that line is really important because that's where they'll be giving the injections from. So another important thing that they did was the fixing of catheter, and that is one thing that I don't even like. I don't like the feeling, but it's really important that they fix it, because after the CS, that is what I'm going to be using to pass out urine. So whenever a woman is having cesarean section, it is really important that she has a catheter on before the CS. So they did that for me. All this was being handled by the nurses. So after they prepared me, they did the shaving, the fixing of the line, the fixing of catheter, and I was prepared to go into the surgery room. Then they went to call the doctor. So the doctor came and I was supposed to walk into the surgery room. Like, walking into the surgery room is like a memorable walk, because for me it was mixed feelings. I was really happy because I was going to have my baby. Like, this was a journey of 9 months, and I knew that was the day it was going to, that was the day I was going to see my baby. So I was really happy about it, but at the same time I was anxious, I was scared. Like, it's a mixture of so many things. There's so many uncertainties going on in your mind, like what's going to happen to me in there. So all of that was going on in my mind. But like I said, I try so hard, whenever any negative thought is coming, I just try so hard to, counter it. I use the word of God to counter it. Like, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. And he's going to take me into the surgery room. He's going to bring me out. I'm going to be okay. My baby is going to be okay. Like, that was all the things that I just kept saying, just to counter any negative thoughts that was coming into my mind. So it's really important that, you put your mind at rest at this particular time. Another very important thing that you need to decide with your doctor before the surgery is the kind of anesthesia that you want. In case you do not know, there are 2 types of anesthesia. One is called the regional anesthesia, and the other one is called the general anesthesia. So during my first pregnancy, they tried the regional anesthesia. That's the one they will give to the patient, and the patient will still be awake during the surgery, but the patient will not be feeling the pain, while the general one is the one that puts the patient to sleep. So during my first pregnancy, they actually tried out the regional one and it didn't work, so they did the general one. So for this pregnancy, they also used the general one. So when I got into the room, I laid down and then they gave me the anesthesia. And you know what that means? Once you're giving anesthesia, you sleep off and you don't know what's happening anymore. So that was what happened. The surgery was done, and thank God it was successful. And as of when I started gaining consciousness, I had already had my baby. Like, they had even moved me from the surgery room to the ward, to my room where I was going to stay. So my baby was out. I woke up, and the experience of my second was really different from the first experience. I remember the first experience, when I woke up, I was really feeling cold. Like, I was feeling so cold. They had to use blankets, like up to 3 blankets, to cover me up. But for this one, the experience was quite different. I woke up and I was feeling so uncomfortable, like really, really uncomfortable. And when the anesthesia is clearing off, like, you'll be seeing stuff, but not really clearly. So I was able to hear voices. I could hear my elder sister's voice, who was with me. Big thumbs up to her. She was with me during my first delivery. She was also with me during this delivery. Like, she's amazing. She's the best sister in the whole world. I love her so much. So yeah, she was with me. I was hearing her voice. I was hearing voices of the nurses, but I couldn't see things clearly. And I was feeling so uncomfortable. Like, I can't even describe that feeling. I was feeling some kind of pain in my neck. I was feeling some kind of pain in my waist. Like, I was just so uncomfortable, and I just felt like if I was given a pillow, I would be a bit okay. So I was begging the nurses for a pillow, and for some reason they said they weren't going to give me any pillow, that I can't have pillow for now. And I just could not understand it. Like, give me a pillow. I'm like, I'm dying. I'm not feeling okay here. Like, just give me a pillow. But they kept insisting that I can't have a pillow yet. So I was just there. Like, I didn't even have time to ask for my baby, because look at me struggling to survive here. I was so uncomfortable. So when I heard the voice of the doctor, I was like, doctor, please, I need a pillow. I need a pillow. I cried out to the doctor. And the doctor was like, okay, how many minutes ago did I finish the surgery? They gave him the answers that he wanted, and he was like, okay, they can give me a pillow. So they gave me a pillow. I laid my head on the pillow, and seriously, I don't know, but it made a lot of difference. I don't know what it is, but just having a pillow just made a lot of difference, and I felt a bit comfortable. Not completely comfortable, but a bit comfortable. So at this point, I was like, okay, the surgery is over. Thank God, my baby is fine. Thank God, I'm fine. Thank God. It's really a grateful experience when you go through cesarean section and everything goes on well. Like, you really have to be thankful to God for that. So I was really thankful. I was happy, and that was when I was like, okay, where's baby? Let me see my baby, and all of that. So the hospital I had this baby wasn't the same hospital I had my first baby, and I don't know, there are just some differences. Like, when I had my first baby, I was allowed to try and stand up, because one major thing after having a cesarean section is your first attempt to stand up. It is really important, because after a cesarean section, you're going to find it very difficult to stand up, because look, babe, they just tore your tummy and brought out the baby out of it. So it's going to be very difficult, because you're going to be putting some strain on the surgical site or the surgical spot. So the first attempt to stand up is really, really important. And most doctors like to insist that the patient should try and stand up on their own, without much assistance. Like, even if people are going to assist you, it's not like they're going to carry you. They'll just give you some little assistance while you try to stand on your own. For my first baby, I was able to do it successfully without any assistance. And for this one as well, although the hospital insisted that I do not stand up until 24 hours after the surgery, but I just could not, because I felt like I needed to stand up. My back was aching, my waist was aching, so I was insisting that I wanted to stand up. So I didn't stay up to 24 hours, and I tried to stand, and I was able to do it on my own, although it was difficult, like really difficult. The pain, guys, the pain. The pain is so much. It was really difficult, but I tried so much. Without any assistance, I was able to stand up on my own. So another important thing to know is that after surgery, you're not going to be allowed to eat. Remember, you didn't eat 8 hours before surgery. And after surgery, you're not going to be allowed to eat anything, for like 2 days, up to 48 hours, until you gas, like practically until you gas. So they would actually be asking you, have you gassed? It's really funny. So you're not be allowed to eat anything until you gas, and that might take like 24 to 48 hours. So all I was taking was Lipton tea. I was taking water, like just That's all. And then maybe after like 48 hours you'll be allowed to take light pap, like very light pap and all of that. So God, as God will have it, I was able to gas. Oh my god, that's so funny. I was able to gas, and after gassing, you'll be allowed to take light pap, you'll be allowed to take soft rice, all those soft food. Like, it's really important that you follow, what they ask you to take, vegetables and all of that. Because if you go and start eating, because at this time I was feeling like all the food in the world, I was craving everything in the world. But if you just go all out and start eating bread, eating eba, eating meat pie, eating pizza and all of that, when you want to poo, it's going to be difficult. And if it is difficult, you're going to strain the surgical spot, and you don't want that, because it can lead to another kind of complication. So it is really important that you stick to your diet, and the diet is to eat light food and vegetables. So pap, soft rice, your stew should contain vegetables and all of that. So just take things that would, keep your system okay, and you don't strain when you want to go to the toilet. So that is all I was allowed to eat for like the first 48 hours, and even getting to the first 3 days, that was the kind of food I was eating. And then subsequently you just begin to loosen up a bit, and you begin to eat everything you want to eat, all your eba and all your rice and all your chicken and pizza and bread and everything. So another important thing that I would like to talk about is the dressing of the surgical spot, which is really another important thing. So before I left the hospital, because in my own particular case, I had to stay in the hospital for a long period. Normally when you go through CS in Nigeria, I don't know about other countries, but you stay in the hospital for like 4 to 5 days, and if there are no complications, you're okay, your baby is okay, you're allowed to go home. But in my own case, my baby had jaundice, and the level of the jaundice was really high. Like, that was another experience, like a whole experience on its own. If you guys want to hear that story of how we dealt with jaundice, you can just let me know in the comment section, because that's a whole experience on its own. During my first delivery, I didn't experience anything like jaundice for my baby, so that I wasn't even expecting it. But on the day that we were supposed to go home, they ran a test on her, and it was found that she had jaundice, and the level of the jaundice was really high. So we had to stay back for her to go through phototherapy. First dressing, they changed it after 3 days, and then subsequently they will change it after maybe 5 days and thereabout. So for my surgical spot, it really healed fast. I would give some credit to the doctor as well. I think they did a good job. I'm going to put a picture of the first changing that they did. When they opened it up, they were like, wow, you are healing really fast. It wasn't looking like a fresh wound at all. Like, everything was just clean and looking okay. So they're like, you are really healing fast. But they covered it up again, just to prevent any complications. So the changing of the dressing is really important for patients that leaves the hospital maybe 3 or 4 days after surgery. They will have to come back to the hospital to change their dressing, and then subsequently they will have to do they will have to be doing the cleaning on their own at home. So you have to use isopropyl alcohol or methylated spirit and cotton bud, to just wipe the surface of the spots, like the spot that was stitched. You just wipe it. You're not to wipe twice. So when you take a cotton bud, you put it in methylated spirit, you just wipe once, you throw away, and then you take another one and wipe again. So you have to do that like 2 or 3 times, and you have to repeat that process like 4 or 5 times in a day, until you see that site is really healed. So the remaining days in the hospital was because of my baby. Like I said, she had jaundice, so we had to stay back for phototherapy. So phototherapy is this process where the baby stays under a blue light under a phototherapy light, so that the light can clear off the jaundice. So we spent like another 5 days in the hospital, trying to clear off her jaundice. And when it started going down, the doctor said I was okay to go home, and I continued the treatment with sunlight. So every morning we'll bring her out under the sun and allow her have sunlight. And sunlight is said to have good, I don't know what it contains, but it is said to be good in clearing out jaundice. So we used that, and presently she's okay. The jaundice is cleared off and she's fine. So that was my experience during my second cesarean section. If you're watching this and you're expecting, maybe you're preparing to go through a cesarean section, I hope this video has helped you, put your mind at rest. Sometimes you have those fears coming. Put your mind at rest. Pray. If you're a Christian, pray. If you're a Muslim, pray. Like whatever you believe in, pray. And just believe that you're going to go, you'll come back, you'll be okay, your baby will be okay by God's grace. So, and it's really it's really a grateful thing whenever a woman goes through that experience and comes out alive. You really have to be grateful about it. So that was my experience with my second delivery. Like I said earlier, the link to the video of my first delivery is going to be in the description box. So if you'd like to catch up on that, I'm going to leave that in the description box. You can go check it out. That video is actually in my first channel. This is another channel that I started solely for lifestyle content. So if you loved watching me, share my story, if you'd like to see more of me, please click on the subscribe button. Here I share content around family, faith, and fun. So click on the subscribe button, join the family. Hope you have liked the video. Please like the video, share the content, drop a comment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. It was happy having you here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.